joining this session by speaking webinars on this leadership series. Today, we have our esteemed guest, Mr. Tapan Singhel. He's one of the founding members of Bajaj Allianz General Insurance in India. As its MD and CEO, he has built an organization to where it is with over 7 crore customers and a wide distribution network spanning across 2,000 locations across the country. Under his leadership, the company has been recognized as one of the best in Asia. Thank you, Mr. Singhel, for taking time out for this session today.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Pleasure. Today's session is moderated by Mr. Suresh Mahalingam. He has worked across the BFSI and FMCG spaces in senior positions such as MD and CEO of Tata EIA, General Manager of HDFC Life, and Business Head at ITC Limited, performing in a number of key roles. He is currently an independent director for Principal Asset Management, an advisor to several emerging organizations, and a keynote speaker on multiple platforms. Thank you, Mr. Mahalingam, for structuring this session today. And I leave the floor open to you to take the discussion forward.
Thanks, Nijant, and welcome, Tapan. We'll make this session very interesting, and I promise this is not going to be a session where there are probing questions, but more from a learning perspective, not just for the audience who have tuned in, but also post the interview. The interview will get relayed and sent to many other people. So there'll be great learnings, and coming from you will be a great inspiration for all. So let me just begin. And as we all are witnessing, the world is increasingly volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. What does that mean for leaders like you? What are the implications that the changing business world has for the art and science of leadership? And how do you sustain the long haul? Are some aspects which this interview will try and unravel? Is there a framework? Is there a mantra? Is there a secret to become a successful leader? And you've been a very tall, successful leader. And that's why I'm posing these kind of framework to you. How does one sustain the dynamics of this VUCA world and still think beyond the bend and drive the organizational growth? So ladies and gentlemen, today we have with us Tapan, who's the MD and CEO of Bajaj General Insurance. Tapan is one of the most revered leaders in the industry who has risen through the rank and files of the organization. He has worked across the length and breadth of the country in different capacities in the general insurance domain. And many people close to him claim that he can feel the pulse of the general insurance market. One of the few leaders who I personally admire and cherish, who has demonstrated the capability to see beyond the bend in a very uncertain times and successfully steered the organization with his leadership mantle. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Tapan for you, and we are very privileged to have Tapan on this show. So, Tapan, just to on a lighter vein, I've been reading through your profile. I've seen your academics, and I've seen what career you have chosen. How did a master's in physics and a major in lasers and spectroscopy land oneself in insurance? I think it'll be interesting to know just to begin the conversation.
Suresh, I think it takes me back many, many years. So when I was a kid, I don't know if the uncle and aunties of today do this. In my time, when they would come home, the first question they would ask a kid, what will you become when you grow up? No, beta kya banoga?
Correct.
And I had no clue, Suresh, what to answer. So I would come out with a very, very stupid answer. Kuch bhi ban jayenge, I may become anything. I think so. That becoming anything has led me till here. So, but if you look at it, what actually happened was I was preparing for my. I want to be a scientist, so I'd done my master's in physics, and I was preparing to go to US for my PhD because my father had been to Buffalo in New York. So I was going there. And one of my friends in hostel bought in an extra form for insurance AA. Those times, I think times were different. Getting into government job was a critical thing. So every kid who was doing his graduation or post-graduation would apply for government jobs. And insurance was government job. It was not private.
Correct.
And he put an extra form and said, this is a form I didn't fill in. I already invested money in this. So I said, no, I'm not interested. I don't want to appear for any exam. I'm very clear. I want to get the Nobel Prize for my country. Somehow that was my obsession. So he said, no, it's not like mugging up that you come first in the class. This is a real IQ test. So I said, okay, if you say so. And I sat for the exam and I somehow did pretty good. Then my friend said, at a young age, you're becoming a class 1 officer. So why the hell do you want to waste this chance? Have a look at it. If it doesn't work out, then go to US. No, they still have time.
Okay.
And the posting was Bombay, the training college. And I really found it very, very good. No, you're getting paid as a youngster, free food, free stay. Training means it has no relevance because whether you pass or fail, your job is already there. You're already a class 1 officer. I had a great time. I thought this is really the place to be. No, why the hell go somewhere else? That's how I got into insurance. But I enjoyed every moment of it now, like 29 years to be precise into insurance. And I've loved every moment, Suresh. So no regrets there. But that was the story of how I entered it. But before I complete, I just say one thing. The interview for this job, the insurance direct officer, this question asked, Suresh. So you have repeated a question after 29 years, yeah? They asked me.
So I'm happy I asked you that question.
They asked me that by doing masters in physics and doing so well, and with lasers, and I'd also had some kind of young scientist, profiling there. Why would you want to join insurance as such? So my answer then was, which is valid now, is education is always training of a mind.
Correct.
So since I'm trained as a scientist, I'll bring a lot of different flavor to this business, is my belief, and that is why, irrespective of what education we have, it trains your mind in a particular way. If you use it well, it can bring a different flavor to it. That was my answer then. So
No, it's a brilliant answer. But do you still nurture to do few things that a scientist still wants to do? You still have a long life to go ahead, but is that ambition still there somewhere, or are you just practicing some of it in your day-to-day work, like you rightly said a little while ago?
So I think one question was again asked to me that you run an MBA and you run a business. So how do you run it very differently? So the answer to that was, I think like a scientist. So a scientist is one who will always question everything. Even what has been established, like the word of law, the 10 commandments, he or she will question, why this 10 commandments? How is it proven? Not proven, not worth it. And that's how scientists get their thinking mode on. I think that childlike curiosity to question everything, even now, stays on with me, makes a big difference to the way I look at business and society. But having said that, I think in insurance, I realized very early on, it's a business of empathy. I think I've said before that we get paid to do good. And I love my profession now. So maybe I do not know if I got the Nobel Prize or not, but I think serving so many people, I get greater satisfaction.
I vouch that. I've also been in insurance for 10 years, so I can tell you, not a good 15 years, 5 years also, but I also vouch. Now, sticking to the same question on career, Tapan, and since there are young listeners on tuning in, times are changing fast. During our times of choosing a career option had different dimensions and considerations. However, for people who are young and the audience that are currently tuned in, what would be your recommendations or guidelines or considerations which should be duly thought through while choosing career options in today's day and age?
Yeah, I think one thing is very clear is what you want from your career. Though it changes over time also, for me also it has changed, and for you also, Suresh, it may have changed.
Quite a lot.
For money and career growth. But then as you progress further, our basic nature comes to play. If you're empathetic, look for empathy. If you want a purpose in life, look for purpose. If you're looking for a glory in life, that will come into play. I think after the first couple of years of your career, your basic nature comes to play. So it's very critical for us to understand what's our basic nature. We should not get carried away by what our friends are saying, what our parents are saying. Because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, a majority waking life is spent working. Now, if you're not happy working, we cannot be happy in life. Unfortunately so, because if you look at right the time you become the so-called youth of the country, you are into the workforce. And by the time you're through with the workforce, you already entered the old age. So your glorious time is while working. So one thing I tell my children also, which I tell everybody is, first figure out what's your basic nature. And there's nothing wrong, right? You want to make money, that also is good. You want power, fame, that also is good. There's nothing wrong with it. You want purpose, that also is good. Be very clear about what is your basic nature, which is going to sustain after the initial couple of years of excitement of getting a job. Then look for jobs which align to that basic nature of yours. And then once you immerse into it, don't be fickle-minded. Don't jump too very fast. It takes about 4 to 5 years for you to really become an expert in the job that you enter into. I think the first 6 months to 8 months goes into learning. Then it goes into experimentation. Then it goes into failing. and then, gain some expertise. Then it goes to paying back to the organization. So my personal belief is if you stick in a job of 5 to 7 years, then you have been able to really get into that kind of profession pretty well. So once these things are clear, then you'll have a very successful life. Otherwise, if you're not clear, maybe make a mistake, 1 or 2, that's okay. At the initial stage, we can make a mistake. But ask yourself this question, what's my basic nature? And look at jobs which sustain that basic nature of yours. And nothing is wrong. So don't try to look for fancy words that I want to have purpose and all. If purpose is not what you're looking for, it's fine. Looking for money, then look for fast moving, jobs which pay you that kind of money. So it's perfectly fine.
True. I'll come back to your purpose, your empathy, basic nature, and link it back to leadership traits at a later point of time, because these are some words which are very critical for the success of an organization from a leader's perspective. And I have a few questions around it, which I will address later. Now, having understood you and your career dimensions, for the benefit of the viewers, I would like to touch few questions on the general insurance industry, and then I'll lead up to some more questions on leadership attributes and so on and so forth. I see general insurance as possibly, when I look at it today, I won't say cluttered, but there are multiple players and brands which are operating in the category, and more to come in. And I know there is this talk of insurtechs coming in, then there is a legacy organization, a combination of, and there is a hybrid version. I'm also talking to a few people who are talking about setting up a dental insurance. There is another set of people who are talking to me in terms of setting up an agri insurance, which is focusing only on agri. So there are new developments that are taking place. The category over the last decade has grown over 15%. So it has done reasonably well, considering the fact that there are many organizations or many industries that have seen simple digit growth. Just for the benefit of all the users, what would you attribute the growth of this category as you see it? And you've been one of the leading players in the industry.
So if I go back to the year 2001, when we set up the company, you'll be surprised to know, Suresh, the entire business was just 10,000 crores of the industry.
Correct.
And in just about, let's say, 19 years' time, we are closing close to 13,000 crores. So we are already doing more than what the industry was doing just about 19 years back.
Absolutely brilliant, and congratulations to you. I mean,
it is the industry. The industry grew to 1,07,000 crores. So to the point that you said, this is one of the rare industries which really grew very well over time. So the good part was the growth. Now, where did the growth come from? If you look at the Indian economy also, from I think 2001, when liberalization started happening, and by 2004-5, 91, sorry, it started happening. By 95-96, the economy was fairly, opening up. And 96-97, I think we look at all the vehicle sales, the infrastructure growth, all that started happening. So GI industry typically follows the economic growth and the fortunes. So the economic growth of the country has happened good. So a lot of times when people ask me this question about India, I ask them to go back when they were younger. And if they went to the airports, they would hardly see any passengers there. Today, not today, I think pre-COVID, you went to airport, you could hardly find a place to stand. Or if you look at the vehicles on the road, I remember when I went to Nepal in the year 92, I was so excited to see really fancy cars and fancy motorcycles. And today in our country, you see all this. So the country has really progressed well.
True.
The insurance industry has been lucky that since they follow the fortune of the economy, they rode that way. That was the good part. The second good part happened was, which is not, I would say that because of the disposable income going up, health insurance took predominance. So earlier people not being focused on health insurance because joint family in a way was a kind of insurance happening, but nuclear families coming in and health becoming expensive over time. So health insurance grew well. The government intervention also happened. If you look at government came out with health insurance for the state. They came out with crop insurance coming in. A combination of three: the economic growth of the country. Second, disposable income, which has moved up, which is leading to personal lines of insurance growth. And third, the government intervention recognizing insurance as a powerful social kind of protection for the citizen of India. You combine these three together and you see this growth happening. And let me remind you, Suresh, in the year 2007, free pricing had happened, detariffing had happened of price. Prices went down by 70-80%. If they're not gone down by this percentage, you'd actually have seen a much higher growth than what you see today.
Absolutely.
But still, it's very less. So I would put my money that for the next 20 years also, this industry is going to keep on booming. So I don't think growth would be an issue. Profit has been an issue for the industry, but not growth.
But do you see room for more players?
I would love to have more. I've always said competition should always be welcome and you should invite many more players. You know why? It pushes you to do better for customer. No? It pushes the industry to do better for customer. And in any industry which is obsessed with customer and keeps on pushing themselves to do better for customer will always be an industry which keeps on doing good. No, I think that is a fundamental issue. And competition forces that. Again, I'll take you back, Suresh, when the first ATM came to our country. You remember, I didn't have a card then. And one of my well-to-do friends had a card. And I was so jealous standing out. You just go and take money out. And for me to take money, I had to go to the cashier, stand in the queue and take the money out. And now nobody goes to the bank. No, competition does wonderful thing for the industry and for the customer. India, we hardly have any players. Look at Singapore, look at UK, 1,000 companies. And the market like India, less than 500 is no fun. We should have a huge number of companies.
So leading to that, Tapan, in the sense, you've seen the insurance industry and general insurance industry for the last 27. You've seen the nascent stage of the industry. You've seen the growth stage of the industry. You've seen the tech side of the industry, and you're probably seeing more players to come. What are the future trends which you feel this category will witness, or if not already witnessing? And, you know, there are talk about telematics and multiple other things that people are talking. Where do you see, and as a leader in the industry, what changes are you doing to your own approach towards addressing some of these changes? Okay, and maybe the leadership attributes could come in from your end.
So this is where my scientist comes into play. So let me give you interesting.
I was itching to hear your scientist view. Glad that it is coming here.
So let's look at the general insurance dilemma, which is an interesting dilemma, and this is what has to be solved. Yeah. So I told you the industry is growing well, but the industry does not make profit. So the industry's combined ratio, which is outgo to the premium collected, is about 170. So about 70 rupees of every 100 rupees, the industry is over and above what. So it technically means the industry is paying claims to the nose. No?
Correct.
Now you ask any common person street, what is the view about insurance industry? They'll say they don't pay claims. No, they're thugs. Yeah. So
absolutely.
Now, don't you find interesting? The industry is dying paying claims, and the common person feels that the industry does not pay claims. No.
Correct. Absolutely.
Where is the dilemma? No, and this is the problem which we should solve. And then once I analyzed, I realized two things is happening in this play. And again, very interesting. See, let's look at the insurance industry. What does it do? Collect money from many to pay to a few.
Correct.
So owners of the industry is that the few it pays to, they should verify they're not fraudsters.
Correct.
Otherwise, the money of many will go waste.
Correct.
So the entire process of paying claims is starting to eliminate fraud. So now look at the funny situation. You walk in as a customer, you have a genuine claim. The insurance company sees you as a fraudster. Yeah?
Correct.
Now who is wrong? You or the insurance industry? Both are right in their own place. Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely.
But that was, let's say, 400 years back. When you didn't have so much digital tools, you didn't have social media, you didn't have mobile cameras. In today's time, with all this analytics and all this tools in place, you can have process to find out fraudsters, or at least have triggers happening, and let the 99.99 honest person get their money very, very fast with a very good experience. So my belief is the industry should crack this and should work on this, and as a company we're leading it, because once we crack this, the perception of insurance industry changes, which is very critical. Otherwise, the insurance penetration, whatever you see, would not happen to the level where it can, because with such low penetration. That is the first thing. The second thing what the industry should do is a very customized solution for a customer. Today, it is like, this is the 5 things, take it or leave it. It's like the ambassador Fiat days. There are 2 vehicles, whichever model you want, take it, one or the 2. No? Now you don't have much of an option. You look at the Fiat 10 times, look at the ambassador 20 times, and then decide on one. No? That era has to go. The customer should be able to decide the cover they want, take the price, and be able to be serviced when a claim gets paid at a hyper speed. Now, this is where the industry should go to, because then we are redefining the industry, we're redefining customer experience, and I think quite a few of us will be getting there. That to me should be and will be the future.
No, that's a beautiful synopsis of how you see the general. I can ask you more questions, but I think the purpose of this interview is not just to get into general insurance industry per se, but also look at various leadership attributes. And now I'm shifting the gear from understanding you to understanding the industry to getting to more specific on leadership and leadership attributes and so on and so forth. Some interesting, some little controversial, but we'll play it by the ear. If I were to put things in perspective, Tapan, today all of us in this VUCA world are in a fishbowl. And part of being in that fishbowl means you are taking information from multiple sources, you're constantly learning, constantly teaching, and you have to have a constant ability to modify. Those who adapt best are the ones who thrive. My question, therefore, to you is, how do you lead today if you are going to have a change or be prepared to change tomorrow? If you could share your perspective on this aspect for the benefit of our listeners.
Okay, it's not the conventional answer. As I told you, I'm not an MBA.
No. Like I said, this is leadership with a difference. I don't want to get into this. I want all practical aspects coming in right now.
So most of my answers will be the way I believe it. So let me give you a story which I heard somewhere. So I can't give you the exact references. So there was this war game which was being played in US. Before they were trying to get into some war. They normally do a kind of war simulation. So they planned everything to the perfect T. And they felt nothing would go wrong now. And they had to create an enemy general to see how the war would go. So they looked for one of the rogue generals, way back, and got him. He was already retired, and said, "Okay, you lead the enemy side." And he won the war. Now, with all this preparedness, they lost it. So they're very surprised. They said, "What did you do?" He said, "The problem is that you guys were thinking that everything would be like command, control, clear instructions, and digital movement. So all I did was from motorcycle, I would send a message of what I want to be done. And I had very good lieutenants, and broad objectives were given, and the micro details they would work out, and that is how this get passed on. So at no point of time, anybody could figure out what is the clear strategy. And the way we are used to thinking is that we want to always see a very clear strategy. Now, this is why we fail, because you have to, when you want to make a clear strategy and you want complete chain of command to happen, you want clear things to go right to the last mile. By time instruction, which is the last one, the world has changed in today's time.
Correct, absolutely.
So, which means that you'll always be at a losing space because you can't win this. So, my style of management over years has been the rogue general style of management. I have good people with me, and they have been stayed with me for many, many years. If you look at most of my leaders, they would have been there from like day zero kind of stuff, or 1 or 2 is here and there. What I want to be done is instruction which is given to them.
Okay.
And the ethics values need not be compromised. It's very, very clear on that basis. And where they get stuck is where they have to come back to me. And the fastest time they get there. And this is how they pass on the command. So which means that innovation keeps on happening in between the command centers. So let's say, Suresh, you want that today, right now, Tapan, tell me the clear strategy of what today end will be. I can't tell you, nor my people can tell you, but we will be ahead of the game. That I can tell you. So nobody can crack how fast we move and how agile we are, because we have a series of people who are very, very agile. And the broad objective, and this is where my chess comes into play, is multiple pieces which I put it together, and I have multiple leaders who execute. And in the end, the picture which I want to be created gets created. You're getting it? So in a very fast changing world, you have to have a lot of trust on your people. Be clear about what end goal you want to achieve. Be clear about the purpose that has to be served. Be clear about what your organization stands for. Don't compromise ethics, values. Respect your people and let the game begin. I think that's why it's just very, very
and you have been comfortable. You have been successful. And has there been a shift in this strategy ever, or have you been consistent with this forever in terms of your style and approach?
So what happens and happened used to, now it does not. When I was younger, I used to be a lot more restless, and more demanding. And at times I would feel like, let me do it. It's not happening. This guy is taking too much time. And I lose patience. And like a lot of my senior leaders say, the younger ones are very lucky. They're not seen you in your original avatar. Otherwise, what we have survived, they see a much better you. So over time, I realized you have to have faith. You have to have a lot of belief in your people. They will figure it out.
Absolutely.
That is where the delegation thing comes into. If you can't do that, don't talk of delegation. Don't talk of belief. Don't talk of trust. Don't talk of all this values a lot of companies throw up. It starts from how you behave and how you interact with your people and leaders. No? So now over time, Suresh, now I don't. Now I'm much more calmer and I'm able to, and it still works. So it's doing fine.
So let me probe on your calmness a little more to try and find out the current situation. As they say, comfort and change never coexist peacefully. It's a premise in today's contemporary world that leaders have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So one has to recognize that an uncomfortable state is still okay, because it typically means that either one is growing, one is learning, or one is allowing oneself to be even more authentic, which I can see very clearly from your perspective, with the groups that one is interacting with. Therefore, my question to you, Tapan, is, do you subscribe to this fact in today's dynamic world, to this theory of being comfortable, uncomfortable, or are you a votary of subject matter expertise? In other words, success is through a process of collaboration or through well laid out processes and structures. Or, I mean, I know there is no perfect answer, but from how you see this whole thing evolving.
Yeah, so like I said, these are my perspective, right or wrong.
No, we want only your perspective. No.
So,
go ahead, please.
Yeah. So if you again look at from my perspective, and one of my leaders came to me and he just got promoted, again, a very hardcore friend, and we fought many battles together. And one day he came to me and said, "Boss, I think I will quit." So I asked him, "What happened? Bhai? Abhi to sab theek chal raha hai, business bhi acha hai. Why do you want to quit now?" He says, "Too much stress." Then I laughed. I said, "You understand one thing, no? All of us want to grow in career. As we grow, it is the stress which grows for which you get paid.
Absolutely.
If stress is not there, then organization does not require you. Let us understand this. Yeah. Let us understand that there's no theft in the city. There's no murder in the city. Would you require police force? Yeah. If all neighbors were staying peacefully at the country border, would you require the army? So I think the issue is senior leaders, when you get in that position, you get paid for your stress. Let's be very clear about it. Yeah? So to think of an ideal world where there'll be no stress and the organization will keep a bunch of senior leaders for having a great time, it doesn't exist. I think that is not the way we should be thinking.
Correct.
Now, how do we handle the stress is what comes to it. So if you're super excited about stress and about uncertainty, and you're super excited about crisis, then you should take a role of senior leaders. If you're not, then you should be, like you said, be a subject matter expert. That also is very good. Yeah. And be an expert, there's nothing wrong, right? I think a lot of people get confused, and that comes again with our Indian hierarchy system, where we think CEO is the most powerful position. To me, it's just one of the positions. The head technical would be a very powerful position, or let us say, the head admin itself will be very powerful. If you're good at it and you're a subject matter expert and you want to really make a difference, it itself is a very powerful position. I think so. First and foremost, you remove that from mind. But if you're super excited about crisis, and every crisis makes you excited, we'll get some fun. Let's try, redefine, look at things, and you enjoy stress coming to it and see how do you solve it. Then I think, to me, that is required when you want to become a CEO or you want to be heading businesses, or a CFO, because these positions will have it. So, not even wish it away.
On the aspect of stress and senior leadership and collaborative styles of leadership, more pertinent from your perspective. I mean, I've been a CEO and MD. You are currently an MD and CEO. What is the biggest myth about leadership or the corner office?
It's glamorous. See, you was not a good time, Suresh. A lot of people don't think it's a glamorous
But you've been at it for a very long time. So understand, how are you coping with this kind of position?
To answer the question, Suresh, I love crisis. I answer that myself. Any crisis gives me super excitement to handle that. But if you're coming for glamour, don't come. That's the last thing that you would be experiencing while sitting on the chair. People may feel whatever, but you're experiencing any kind of glamour from your perspective. See, again, this was one more of one of my direct reports. Once he said, "Boss, I don't feel motivated anymore." I said, "Step out. Don't be in that position if you don't feel motivated. You have no option.
Correct.
When you take leadership positions, you have no option of feeling low. You have no option of not feeling motivated. And if you're feeling so, step out. Take some other role. Don't be there. Thousands of people look at you and they want you to be. Let's imagine we go to war and you are General Suresh. And suddenly, just before the war starts, you say, I don't feel motivated. Will you win?
You lost it. Yeah, you will not win. Correct.
Forget it. You all be massacred. As a leader who cannot be self-motivated, self-excited, self-energetic, know at all point of time, there's nothing wrong if you don't feel so step aside. Yeah? Just step aside for some time. No? Maybe you want to do something else. But if you take leadership roles, ensure that it comes from within you. No? And you always know. That is so, there's no question of glamour, there's no question of you being negative, there's no question of looking for motivation. Those things are too late. Yeah? Once you enter this cockpit, you better drive.
You have to, correct.
Better enjoy it.
So Tapan, talking about changes and continuing with this subject, obviously we're seeing a lot of change that's currently happening. So the recent global crisis, and it's a question that one will have to ask in any interview these days, the recent global crisis which we are witnessing is a huge disruptor. For some, it's an opportunity to kind of redefine multiple things. For some, it is sulking and I don't know what to do. How do leaders like you understand the impact of this crisis, and how do you ready yourself for a scenario? And if you could illustrate with an example for our audience of what that you could have possibly done, that would be a wonderful way of highlighting what.
Okay. So if we look at today is a very connected world, and a lot of us leaders don't see the world like that. So let me explain. I told my team way before lockdown happened, prepare for lockdown. And if you go back to early March, people thought it would be funny that India will actually have a crisis and a lockdown may happen here. They thought Western is fine, India's immunity is strong, and for us this COVID and all, we handle many viruses. Nothing will happen, and India will have very less cases. And lockdown, people did not even think. So I remember my management team meeting when I proposed, let's prepare lockdown. They said, boss, you're pulling it too much. It's not going to happen. But we prepared, and we actually had gone for work from home before the lockdown announced. So you'll be happy to note when the lockdown got announced, we were fully prepared, and we in fact issued close to 30 lakh policies and settled 12 lakh claims in the lockdown period. With no.
This is in April or March?
That is March and April, and towards mid-May, the lockdown is on. So 30 lakh policies, 12 lakh claims, and the grievance dropped by 90%. We already had the lowest grievance.
Amazing.
Now, people ask me later, how did you see it happening? Like, are you an astrologer or something? I said, no, it does not require you to be an astrologer. I saw the world was entering lockdown as a solution for COVID. I saw it happening step by step, country-wise. And each country which had initially said it did not happen, be it UK, be it US, they all went through it.
Correct.
So my bet was, in this connected world, this is going to happen. The moment the cases are in India, the Prime Minister will announce lockdown. Because that is what every country is doing. It's natural of him to do so. And exactly that is what he did. So we as leaders, we should be very, very attuned to what's happening around the world. Today is a connected world. One. Second, we are a regulated entity. To know what the regulators will be doing, look at what other regulators are doing. So let me give an example. Latest which I heard in China is that the insurance regulators said that 80% of the processes of insurance companies should be digital. And they've only given a couple of months that they have to move digital 80%. Yeah? Now, with that dictum coming in, and let us think that we are not very digital, and we think that it's not going to come to India. So this, I'm making an announcement before it's there. So luckily you have date and time. So we can play this after this happens. So, just to prove my point, Suresh, I have this confidence that similar thing will come to India. It's so easy, It's no rocket science. In a connected world, look at what's happening as early signs of what will come to you sooner or later. I think so. Then you can be prepared much better. That is the first point in a crisis. So don't have this arrogance of thinking that you are different. You'll be aloof of it. No, that is not what we should do. The second point is facing reality very, very fast. Taking decisions. So let us say that if it was March and I asked you to put your money, you would be putting all your money as a venture capitalist in what? And sharing ecosystems. Yeah.
Correct.
Maybe sharing rooms, sharing a car. You remember all the money was going into this. In just 15 days time, if I ask you where you put your money, not put a single rupee there. No? So what was like the charm of the entire world, and any leader you ask him, they're all talking of sharing economy. Everybody. I don't hear the word. So do a Google search, just before COVID, and you'll find this word to be like massively used in all conversations coming over. Nobody's talking.
Correct.
Reality, accept it. So don't start lingering on it if you find this, and going forward if you find this. Move very, very fast in a new environment. So how do you set up businesses, and what kind of businesses really do well in this environment, and how can a business adopt it? Accept it. What are the cost structures? Accept it.
Correct.
Then take decision ultra fast. As leaders, good, bad decisions, you have to execute very, very fast once you have clarity. Only then you can keep the ship going. I think I remind you of a general insurance contract in the marine insurance. If the ship has a danger of going down and it throws away some goods from the deck of the ship to save the ship, that part of the claim is payable. Keep your ship going, even in a storm. Then when you hit good weather, you go full steam ahead. But if you can't take decisions, ship goes down, it's too late.
So on the aspect of decision making, I clearly see that, correct me if I'm wrong in my interpretation, that one of the leadership attributes from what is being displayed by you, while decision making is a continuous process, crisis hastens the process of precision decision making, right or wrong, effectively at that point of time. Because if you procrastinate, delay, then you are basically not kind of addressing the situation. Now, having said that, how you are a good example of a leader who's resetting and making things happen from an industry perspective. What are the few things that you have done differently to reset yourself from a leadership style? Not just you, but what have you translated down to your one downs or to your larger team at large? Because it's impossible for a CEO to kind of take stock of a crisis completely when people look up to him. But in these times of crisis, collective leadership, specific responsibilities and alignment of thought process is very, very critical for seamless execution of activities. What has changed for you, or what have you done differently? Decision making, I clearly understand. Are there any other things that you would have done, especially in a scenario people are working from home? You don't have the conventional styles of milte hain, baat karte hain, decision lete hain. It's very different.
So the two things I said to my team very early on, there are going to be mental health issues. So first and foremost, I told the HR team to set up a helpline with one very established agency and give free access to my team and partners for any number of calls with no information to be asked from them, clear NDA, zero data to be given to them. Second, I told my team, you have to take care not only of yourself, but all my partners and my customers. And told the HR that you take care of all my people. So you'll be happy to know that the HR team called every employee, not mail.
Wow.
And had discussions with them. And my team members called every agent. And we try to reach out to as many customers as possible. So once from being a victim, you become the kind of person who's providing relief, your mindset changes, Suresh, completely.
Absolutely.
So getting the moral team to be very high from day zero was one of my clear goals, because I realized that this is not going to be the normal time. There'll be huge fear psychosis. There'll be huge worries. So one way is I can tell them, don't worry, we'll take care. Otherwise, I said, it's like when you want to teach somebody something really good, make him a teacher. Or in a Hindi, chor ko kotwal bana do types, you want better law and order. So I said, if my people have to be mentally healthy, make them the person who has to give happiness to others, or have discussion with others, and put an infrastructure of support, for such that. I think that created huge excitement in my team, because now they are the ones reaching out to people, connecting, and if they find somebody not really doing well or somebody not really down, that was passing up. And we focus a lot on how people should remain happy. And if somebody is contacting COVID, what are the solutions that we provide? Because we have a huge infrastructure of doctors, hospitals, what comfort you provide. I started calling up people who contact COVID myself. I said, I can come down to see you. And if you want anything, if your society is not providing grocery, is not taking care of you, let me know. We will do it.
Okay.
Because I think, Suresh, it's very funny. None of us know who will get
Yeah.
COVID, huh? But if one of
Sure.
us get it, we are running away. And tomorrow, if you are the person getting it and everybody runs away, it's a funny world, yeah?
Yeah,
In
it is
this
a funny
world,
world.
actually, we should all be rushing to help people who get it because we do not know tomorrow
True.
we may be the person. So are we
True.
creating
True.
an ecosystem of helping each other? Are we having empathy? Because tomorrow we may require it, not for anything else, just forget it, forget about human angle, for it, just pure strategic basis. The
Correct.
era has to be where we all rush out to help people, no? Who are
Correct.
going to office. So those are the things that we really worked on. I believe a business is easier to manage when you have a very motivated team, no?
So that comes to, and it's so fascinating to hear you articulating with such great passion, because like I said, I'll come back to the purpose issue later. All this emanates from a clarity of thought, clarity of purpose, clarity of empathy, clarity of the directions that you want to do, and keeping employee in the cornerstone of any critical success that the organization has to achieve. And I can clearly see from your articulation that crisis or no crisis, if you have a good team, if you're able to give the directions correctly and have a collaborative approach, things can happen. On the purpose itself, again, for the greater learning of the audience, some of the best leaders have the ability to incorporate what I think of as a compass or a broader purpose. A purpose statement or a vision statement is not a strategy, but it is a compass. We live in a world that is looking for quick hits, looking for quick action, but there has to be a trend line. Those compasses, those purposes help drive that. What is your style of bringing in purpose when you are working towards a very important goal? Now, crisis is one example. Are there any, if there is a futuristic change in this, how do you bring this purpose aligned to your larger team? Because as a leader in the industry, it's very important for you to consistently send those kind of purpose statements or benchmarks for you to be ahead of the curve or across the bend.
Purpose cannot be a statement. It comes from the heart. You feel it. And you feel it very genuinely, then others feel it. That's my belief. So let us say I've been very lucky to be in industry in which we actually just do good. If somebody goes through a misfortune, we stand with that person. No? So whenever I speak to people, I say, don't you feel very, very enriching and blessed that you have an opportunity to serve people when things are going wrong? No?
Correct.
If I look at any great person, at the end of all their career and all the money they have made, they become philanthropists. They spend their life serving people. I said, here you make money serving people. How beautiful can it be? So I think that is why we look at a company's grievance ratio. It's always been one of the lowest in the industry. And I said, no, it drops by 90%. I said, if you don't feel for the customer and the pain of the customer, the genuine customer, and you can't really serve the customer, then this is not the place to be. That's the first thing. I think that somehow is something which we talk at all times, and that's why I use the term, we get paid to do good. The second is our purpose towards the society and the country. Now let's look at India. India, demographic dividend people talk about. Now to the youth of India, if you don't provide gainful employment, there is a huge problem. It will be a negative dividend. No, you'll have social unrest. You'll have crime rate going up. So insurance industry provides the maximum employment. Nobody talks about it. No? Millions get employed by insurance industry, be it by agency or be it by attachment. So I said, can we have a purpose that will make a difference to the youth of the country and provide the maximum employment? So it's not about recruiting agents. We are providing employment to a family which will make a difference to him and his future generations. We are going to make a difference to people's life. And this I demonstrate by some of the early agents which I made. When I go and meet them with my team, the kind of respect that they have for us, because we change the fortunes for them and their family, So as a professional, you get an opportunity to change people's fortune. Which industry gives you that? Let's talk about any industry. No?
Yeah, absolutely.
They can talk of 1 or 2 people, and we can talk of 1,000. You would have 10 years, 15 years career, made a difference in thousands of people's life. No? So you're making a difference in people's life. If you get paid to do good, you're standing when things are going wrong. What else do you want in life to be done? No. Now, if you do these things as a purpose and you're obsessed about it, Suresh, your company will do good. No?
Yeah, absolutely. Tapan, I've been asking questions, and it's been 45 minutes. I'll go to the audience and take few questions. And, we still have another 15 minutes. Let me take few questions from the audience. Some of these you may have answered, but nonetheless, I will ask. a number of micro insurance firms have come up such insuring a cab ride or insuring your phone. Do you see a huge market in that space?
Okay, these are sachet-based insurance. I think if you look at with the advent of e-commerce and digitalization, sachet-based insurance is something which is emerging in the insurance world all across the world. No, be it Zhongyan, which really picked up very well, or if you look at some of the Western companies also, India now started emerging of a cab ride or this thing. The question you should ask is, one, obviously it is more like bundle product. Correct. Is the customer opting for it or is it bundle? That's the first question to ask for it. If it's bundle, then I don't think as an industry we are achieving something. No? The customer is opting for it, then we are giving value. That is the first question I always ask myself, though it's picking up. No, that customer doesn't see value. It's bundle when it's come to the customer is free, whatever credit card or cab ride, no, which is coming through. Then does it, or does the customer opt for it? So if you have to be a good insurer, check this statement. Is customer opting? Then your product is good. Is the customer opting for it? No, that's the first part. Second is sachet-based insurance. Also look at the claim process being very, very rapid, very fast. At least you get the industry reputation to be built up well. No? I think if you combine these two together, then every product is good. Your sachet-based product is also good. One, the customer should opt for it. And second, if a claim happens, the problem because the customer is buying a sachet product, which means he or she has not gone through like 2-page document. It's just one sentence. It covers this. That's it. So when a claim happens, then don't take out 4-page statement and say, "Bhaiya, these were not covered." No.
Correct. I agree.
So this is you take up these two things is good. You're not taking care of these two things. Rework.
Okay. This is again a question. Do you agree that it's lonely at the top? If yes, how do you handle this situation? So it's a good question for a leader.
So I think this is something leaders have to manage.
To me, it appears you don't look lonely, but
yeah. So why I don't look lonely? Let me clarify on that. See, I'm always excited to be in presence of people. In fact, the lockdown, if you ask amongst others, for me, this was the biggest change. All my life, I've been meeting 20 days a month. I travel. I meet so many people, and I love meeting people. That is what, is something as an insurer, which is my job, and I enjoy doing it. Suddenly, I cannot move. I have to be at home. And I look people like Suresh, a dear friend, I'm looking at him now after so many years through a laptop. What has the world come to? So a person like me would be having the maximum setback. No? Now, there are two issues to it. One, think you're lonely. You can't talk to people. You can't just show your vulnerabilities. No? Or two, it's virtual and feel bad about it. Or in any circumstances, see what best can you do. So why can't I talk to people? Why can't I be vulnerable to my people who work for me? Even why can't I be vulnerable to people down below? I remember I was doing a call with my daughter because she's a doctor, as I told you, Suresh, earlier. She's working like 17, 18 hours a day and facing all this COVID issues, frontline. And I think my digital head said that we want to Insta live with you and your daughter. So I was hesitating, but I said, okay. So towards the end of it, I nearly had tears in my eyes. So why hide?
Correct.
I'm human. I cry at times. Absolutely. I laugh. No? Why do I want to face myself or create a facade that I am God? No?
Correct.
I am what I am. So when I am what I am on the face of it, Suresh, I can't be alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, related to the statement that you made in terms of the Chinese example of where they've asked 80% to be digitized, what is the extent of digitization that you see in the general insurance industry, and is there scope for further? And unfortunately, while the word digital transformation, digital is used rather loosely, people don't understand because it's a journey. It takes some time. I've myself set up an insurtech company called Coco by General. Where do you see this transformation happening, and what extent have you digitized, and is the journey complete, or is the journey 50% complete? What does one do?
Okay, there are two things.
Or is there an opportunity?
Yeah, the two things I told my team very early on. I think if we can't issue a policy or settle a claim by the time you have a cup of tea, especially the retail part, which is about 90% of the business, we are not really doing good. So this was that is how my love for tea brought that on very early on. And the good and bad part was we did a lot of stuff, and my IT head and my ops head always come and say, "You're too light on your salespeople. We have the competence, and the adoption is not happening. You should push." And I should push them back and say, see, when things are good, adaptability happen. You are not really perfect, no? ATM, nobody pushed for people to go to ATM, no?
True.
People found it convenient, so they went to ATM. So adaptability of technology will happen when it is really good and convenient. If it is not so, it will happen. So in fact, I had gone to Singapore also because this is a problem which we're trying to solve. In Singapore, I came to know 95% of business in insurance happens on paper. For a country like Singapore, which is so digital. No?
Correct.
So I was so disappointed. I thought all this is going to work, all the investment, all this. No? Somewhere something is missing. Then COVID happened. Immediate overnight transformation, Suresh. I told you, we should policies on WhatsApp. We set up in 20 minutes, no? All the apps and everything was really triggered and fired. So at times...
And all working well.
All working well, no? So at times what happens is, it's a change also about convenience. Having said that, my statement still remains. A customer or a distributor or employee will adopt when you make it so convenient, no? That is how the Amazons of the world, the Airbnbs or no, the Ola Ubers or no, if you have the ATMs of the world, nobody pushes that. So if it is not happening, keep on asking the question, is it convenient enough? Does it make it, is it simple enough? And if keep on asking the question, reach there. That's what I would do, Suresh.
Two more questions from the audience, and some you've answered, maybe you would like to re-emphasize. How do you see the insurance industry moving ahead post-COVID? And what are the major disruptions do you observe during this phase? And is the role of insurance agents obsolete? So two questions. How do you see the insurance industry going ahead post-COVID? And if you could answer that.
Okay. So first, let me take the role of insurance agent. I think then I answer the first one. First, I've covered a bit of it. Now, insurance, and I've mentioned in many places, is a conversational sale. Now, understand very clearly about this. Yeah. What does it mean by this? This is a quote which I've quoted very passionately many times. See, now if I talk to anybody, and it's a challenge, Suresh, let me speak to somebody for 7-8 minutes. I promise you they'll buy insurance.
Absolutely.
Not because of an amazing salesperson, simply because the insurance, what it offers is phenomenal for the price it offers. Let's say in COVID time, you have claims going to 8 lakh, 10 lakh rupees. No? And you've seen all that news going on. And the average claim for insurance industry is about 1.5 to 2 lakh rupees. So if you can buy a cover for 7,000 rupees of a year, it's peanuts, which covers all illnesses, not only COVID. Huh? So why would you not buy it? The problem is the human brain is not wired to see the risk. Somebody has to have a conversation. And this is why across the world, even though digital companies have set up, they have not been able to dislodge the traditional companies with the distribution of agency network simply because insurance is a conversational sale.
Yeah.
Now, how do you shift the conversation to digital or any other place is your game? Now, that's not easy. Humans require human interaction and conversation. That is why agents are there to stay. So don't discount them right now. I don't think the time has come. Now, coming to the industry, two things is what the industry should focus on very, very clearly. Delivering at a hyper speed to customers and claims. I think because digitalization adoption is happening, are you delivering claims on hyper speed? Are you using digital tools to assess claims and do it very fast? No. And cut away all the unnecessary steps in between. That's an opportunity for you to do so. And make the policy simpler.
Correct. I fully agree. You should make the policy simpler.
So if you can do these 2-3 things, I think we're on the right track.
Okay. Tapan, 2 more questions. There are a lot of questions coming in. How do you connect with a large distributed employee base in this remote work from home phase? How do you maintain connect, and what have you been doing as a leader?
Okay. So I've been lucky to be a founding employee. So for me, it was not difficult. I think most employees I've recruited personally over time. And that has, so I had the luxury of spending a lot of time with a lot of people over the years. So for me, it's the biased answer. So for me, the connect part is easy because if you have been there, you set up a company, you recruit people, you fight with them on the streets, pick up businesses, beat competition. So you become like brothers and sisters over ages. So that to me is an easier option. So I'm not sure about how other leaders would manage it. For me, this was easy because people reach out to me for any difficulty, any issue, any happiness, sadness. I make it a point that any SMS, any text, any call I get, I answer, I talk to people before I go to sleep. So if somebody reaches out to me any difficulty, they will get a call back from me. The problem is the sleep early is the problem. I call up to 11:30 nights. People know that. Send me a text, they better know, remain awake now. So the call is coming. So to connect to people, there's only one thing which I feel you should have. Genuineness.
Okay.
Don't be a fake guy. Yeah? People can see through. So don't tell I'll be there with you and things happen, you disappear. No. Then demonstrate.
This is a good attribute of a leader. You should not be fake. I fully endorse.
Yeah.
And this is something that we must practice.
Yeah. If you are genuine, Suresh, and your statements have been over time tested on your genuineness, the connect will always. That's the easier part. No.
Absolutely. Last question, Tapan, from the audience. Do you see the role of insurance surveyor going away due to social distancing as we switch to online methods?
Yeah, no, on the survey part, it is a challenge. In fact, if I look at now, the surveys have to be technically very, very competent, at least in the GI space. And that is where they will get paid for it. They'll get paid for the technical competence. Now, they'll not be getting paid on the value. Today, let's say if IRDA says for a claim up to 50,000 rupees, in motor or 1 lakh in fire, don't require surveyor. I don't think that is the issue. The issue should be in complex claims. You require expertise which you cannot do digitally. So let's say if there is one of those large vehicles, an Audi or a Mercedes which has a crash, a simple bumper itself would cost over the value of what is not required for survey. A simple photograph can get that claim paid. So why do you require a survey for a bumper claim? But if an engine loss happens, or if let's say a factory which is a power plant which has an explosion happening, complex claims and complex systems where you are good as a technical expert will get paid over time. But if you're surviving in the survey job just by the value put by IRDA, the time will be up. So that goes for all professions. Be very good, be very technically competent. Don't just depend on the value put by IRDA. Over time, that will disappear as claims get more and more digitalized and they get more and more process oriented.
So do you see the industry growing?
Yeah. 20, 30 years. If you are a youngster, join general insurance. Don't worry. The industry grows.
I know. Do you see it growing this year, 2021?
Yeah, this year, if I look at it, the total impact, and if lockdowns happen more, it's a different issue. But let's say last year the industry grew by about 9%, and before it was growing at 13 and 17. So there was an economic slowdown. I told you earlier also, Suresh, the industry follows the economic cycle. So because slowdown, it grew at 9. I see a 5 to 7% impact for the industry, which means that the industry this year should be flat or positive 1 or 2%. So it will not be hugely negative. If it is negative, also minus 5 or 7%. So the range would be minus 5 to plus 5. So it's a good space to be in for the GI guys.
Absolutely good.
They should be happy.
Tapan, I've really enjoyed asking you these questions and learning as we speak. One last question to you before we wind up. Mentally, physically, how have you kept yourself up to speed? I know your body language, your face exhibits passion all over, but how have you kept yourself mentally and what have you been doing? What have you been watching? What is the latest movie or anything that you've seen either on Netflix or on television?
Suresh, you'll be surprised to know I've not watched television for I do not know how many years.
Wow.
Really? I don't see TV at all. Not because of any principle or values. I felt that it takes too much time and it's not very constructive from my perspective. I can do better things, So I don't watch TV at all. Netflix I don't have. Again, the luxury of 3 hours of watching a good movie and all that. I believe in something which is again very different. I believe that every person is a story. So let's say this time I spent with you, Suresh, I enjoyed every moment. You yourself are a Netflix story, and everybody is a Netflix story. Why do I have to switch on an iPad or TV to see a movie? If I spend time with people, I see so many movies at one go, which is more realistic, more real time, more dynamite. So I enjoy people interaction much more than anything else. I don't want to lose that in today's world, and I'm actually worried about it. You see cases of depression rising, you see cases of anxiety rising. One reason which I feel is the lack of interaction of people. I love it. I don't want to lose that under any circumstances. So for me, people interaction, talking to people is what I really enjoy. And every person is a huge, amazing story from whom I learn. I don't want to lose that. So I use my time for that, Suresh.
Tapan, thank you so much. It was a very interesting conversation with you, covering not just leadership, but covering your life journey, your traits, your leadership styles, your knowledge of the industry. And I'm sure all those who are listening in, and this will get further published later, will benefit from your rich experience. I wish you all the very best. Stay home, stay safe. My regards to all your employees and all at your family. I look forward to interacting with you many more times. I look forward to seeing you. All the very best and good luck, Tapan. Many thanks for coming for this interview. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Suresh. Anything for you. Thank you very much. Really great seeing you a long time. Really enjoyed speaking to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.